What's the price of being an engineer? Is it worth the sleepless nights, the never-ending stress, and the constant cycle of frustration and exhaustion? Is being part of the workforce that builds the future the dream job everyone tells you it is? Or is it a nightmare you're stuck in? If you've ever wondered what it's like behind the scenes, you might be in for a harsh reality. Stick around to find out why sometimes it truly sucks to be an engineer. Imagine the excitement of finally stepping into the engineering world, graduating with your degree in hand, eager to conquer the world, solve complex problems, and change the future. That was you, full of hope, full of ambition. You thought you were about to step into a field where you'd build the next great innovation, solve unsolvable problems, and be celebrated as one of the masterminds behind the world's most cutting-edge technology. From the outside, the life of an engineer seems like one of ultimate prestige, right? Big salary, steady career, constant opportunities for growth. Who wouldn't want that? But then, reality sets in. The environment you're stepping into isn't what you imagined. The first day of your job, you're sitting in front of a laptop, overwhelmed by endless coding problems, data analysis tasks, or mechanical designs that seem to go nowhere. You're not an innovator right now. You're a cog in a giant impersonal machine. You realize this isn't the fast-paced, high-flying career you thought it would be. This is a daily grind, and your job is more about surviving the grind than enjoying any moment of satisfaction. The excitement begins to fade, and you quickly learn that engineering is far more than designing cutting-edge technologies or coming up with brilliant solutions. It's about solving problems, often problems that aren't glamorous, sometimes problems that shouldn't have existed in the first place. Your bosses don't care about innovation. They care about deadlines and numbers. And you, the lowly engineer, are left to pick up the pieces, fix the mistakes of others, and somehow find the energy to still call yourself successful. As you sit at your desk, the clock ticking relentlessly, you start to feel the weight of the career choice you've made. The to-do lists grow longer. Every day you wake up to more and more work that demands your attention. Projects pile up, and you're constantly behind schedule. As an engineer, you are expected to be the person who keeps everything running smoothly, the one who comes in to save the day when things go wrong. You realize you're not a hero. You're more like a firefighter, constantly putting out the fires caused by others. The pressure to perform starts to mount. In your college days, you were praised for your brilliance in exams. You thought that once you were out in the real world, you'd be given the space to innovate, to create. Instead, you're faced with a daily slog of monotonous tasks that never seem to end. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck solving the same problem over and over again, with no real progress, no meaningful breakthroughs, just endless iterations. It's a draining cycle, and there's no one to stop it. And it doesn't help that you're surrounded by colleagues who seem just as disillusioned as you. Everyone's in it for the paycheck, but deep down, everyone is wondering the same thing. Is this really what I signed up for? The corporate environment doesn't make it any easier. The higher-ups are busy with meetings that don't involve you, making decisions that affect your life without ever consulting you. Meanwhile, you're buried in technical details, trying to please clients who don't care about the struggles you're going through. The tech world, which seemed so glamorous before, now feels cold, impersonal, and unrelenting. Your dreams of groundbreaking innovations have been replaced by the cold reality of deadlines, expectations, and the fact that there's always someone waiting to take your place if you can't handle the pressure. The environment becomes toxic, your morale begins to dip, and the passion you had for your work starts to fade. Now the true reality hits. The job that once seemed like a dream has turned into a grind. You're stuck in a never-ending loop. Your first real project is handed to you with a deadline that seems impossible. The scope of the project is immense, and the expectations are even higher. It's your chance to shine, but instead of feeling excited, you feel overwhelmed. There's no time to be creative. There's no room for mistakes. Every decision you make could make or break the project, and the weight of that responsibility sits heavy on your shoulders. The day of the deadline arrives, and you're nowhere near finished. You've been working 14-hour days, but every time you think you're done, something else pops up. The code won't compile, the prototype keeps malfunctioning, or your team members aren't pulling their weight. Your boss, who promised you support, now hovers over your desk like a hawk, constantly checking in, questioning your progress, and reminding you of the ticking clock. You're stuck in a cycle of stress, self-doubt, and frustration. The project starts to take a toll on your physical and mental health. You're running on fumes, surviving on coffee, and still struggling to keep up with the demands. Finally, you hit the deadline. You've completed the project, but it's not perfect. There are glitches, flaws, things that should have been addressed but weren't because you simply didn't have the time. The project is delivered and the client is satisfied, barely. Your boss gives you a passing grade, but it's clear they're not impressed. There's no good job. No, we appreciate your hard work. Instead, you're already being handed the next task, the next deadline. The cycle continues. In that moment, you realize that the dream of being an engineer has become a never-ending cycle of pressure, exhaustion, and frustration. The excitement you once felt about solving complex problems has turned into dread. You're not an innovator anymore. You're a problem solver, and you've become so good at solving problems that you've forgotten what it's like to enjoy the work. When the project is over, there's no time to relax. You might have finished the task, but there's always another looming over your head. You might have been praised for delivering, but there's no celebration. The fatigue is all-consuming, and you're left feeling hollow. The excitement that once drove you to become an engineer is gone, replaced by an overwhelming sense of exhaustion. Your friends who studied other disciplines can't understand why you're so tired. They have their weekends free, their evenings free, but you're still working, still battling through the grind. And the worst part? You don't even know if this is what you want to do anymore. You start asking yourself, was this all worth it? Was it worth all the stress, the long hours, the mental strain? But you push those thoughts away because you don't have time to think about it. You've got another project waiting, and the clock is ticking again. Your personal life suffers too. You're always working, always thinking about the next task. The relationships you once cared about feel distant, and the passion you once had for life outside of work is gone. You're consumed by your career, and it's starting to feel like it's consuming you. There's no time to step back, no time to relax. You're caught in an endless loop, and you don't know how to break free. After the dust settles on the completed project, it doesn't feel like the victory you were expecting. Sure, the project is done, but you feel like you've just survived a war, not conquered it. The feeling of relief is fleeting, quickly replaced by a profound sense of emptiness. There's no moment of celebration, no time to process your accomplishments. Instead, you're already being thrust into the next project, the next urgent deadline. The work doesn't stop. In fact, it becomes even more relentless. You try to talk about the stress with your colleagues, but they don't seem to get it. Everyone is in the same boat. People have become numb to the grind. The work is expected. The pressure is constant. There's no sense of accomplishment or fulfillment anymore. Just another job. Just another project. The excitement that once made you pursue this career feels like a distant memory. You've become a cog in a machine. A very well-oiled machine, sure, but a machine nonetheless. The physical and emotional toll begins to pile up. Your health starts to decline. Those 14-hour workdays have taken their toll on your body. Your back hurts, your eyes are bloodshot from staring at screens for hours on end, and you haven't had a good night's sleep in weeks. Yet you push through, because that's what you do as an engineer. You're trained to deal with stress, to keep pushing forward no matter the cost. But you can feel it. Something inside you is breaking. It's not just the work itself, it's the lack of recognition, the lack of appreciation, and the overwhelming pressure to always be performing at your best. You've learned that when you finish one project, you're not rewarded with a breather. Instead, you're already onto the next task, the next fire to put out, the next client to please. This isn't a career of personal milestones and achievements. It's a race that never ends. And even when you cross the finish line, you're already preparing for the next race. By the time you hit your late 20s, you realize the long-term effects of the stress and burnout you've endured. The passion you had for engineering, the dream of creating, innovating, and making a meaningful difference, has almost completely faded. It's been replaced with a resignation, a sense of dread about the next project, the next cycle of burnout. You've survived years of pressure, constant deadlines, and the never-ending demands of the job, and you start to wonder, Is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Many engineers face this existential crisis at some point. The initial excitement of the job eventually wanes, and what's left is a grind that feels like it will never end. The corporate culture, which often places emphasis on productivity and profit over well-being, adds another layer of dissatisfaction. It's all about the bottom line, and the focus on making money can sometimes overshadow any passion you once had for the craft. You're left working long hours on projects that, at the end of the day, don't make a real difference in your life or the world. You wonder whether you're doing what you set out to do, or if you've simply become another cog in a corporate machine. The physical toll of this kind of lifestyle also starts to accumulate. Your back, your shoulders, your eyes, all of them start to give way to years of stress and long hours. You begin to struggle with mental health issues, anxiety, depression, the constant sense of being overwhelmed. The work is unrelenting, and it starts to feel like there's no way out. You're left wondering if the dream of becoming an engineer was ever worth it, especially as your health and happiness continue to deteriorate. The worst part, you're stuck. There's no easy way out of this cycle. The longer you stay in the field, the harder it is to break free. Your skills, your experience, your entire career path has been built around engineering. You've invested years into this field, and it's not easy to just walk away. The fear of losing your job, the fear of disappointing your family, or the simple fact that you don't know how to do anything else keeps you in place. The industry itself doesn't make it any easier. The fast-paced, high-stakes environment is part of what keeps engineers on the treadmill. Companies expect more, constantly pushing for higher performance, more innovative solutions, and faster delivery times. The pressure doesn't let up. And as you get older, it doesn't get better. It only becomes more stressful as you're expected to take on more responsibility, lead bigger teams, and manage more complex projects. And even when you finally reach a senior position, the challenges don't stop. The work evolves, but the stress remains the same. Now you're responsible not just for your own work, but for the work of a whole team. You've moved from being a creator to being a manager, someone who deals with the politics of the office, who has to keep clients happy, who has to ensure projects get completed on time. But the satisfaction you thought you'd get from advancing in your career, it's almost non-existent. In fact, it might even be worse because now you're managing other people's stress and problems in addition to your own. The fact that the engineering profession is so demanding and relentlessly competitive means that burnout is an epidemic within the industry. The very traits that make someone a good engineer, the drive, the work ethic, the attention to detail, are the same traits that can contribute to your downfall. You push yourself too hard, work too many hours, and at some point, something breaks. It's not just a physical breakdown, it's a mental and emotional collapse as well. And by the time you realize how badly it's affecting you, it's often too late. You've made it this far, but at what cost? The long hours, the stress, the toll on your mental and physical health, it all adds up. As an engineer, you've been through the grinder, and you're left questioning if it was all worth it. The dream of shaping the future feels increasingly distant, replaced by the grind of endless tasks and expectations. So, what now? Will you find a way to make peace with the engineering grind? Or is it time to step away and reconsider what truly matters? Stay tuned for the next part of this journey where we dive into the ultimate decision many engineers face. Is it worth continuing, or is it time for a change?